On a sweltering hot day at UC Merced in May 2025, 3 siblings crossed the stage in blue gowns and caps to receive their diplomas. One after another, their names were called.
Elena Gutiérrez Ramírez. Ignacio Gutiérrez Ramírez. Nathan Gutiérrez Ramírez.
Watching with pride from the audience were their mother, Armanda, their father, José, and younger sister, Priscila. This moment, with all of them celebrating together, was the culmination of years of struggle, dedication, and overcoming the challenges of a family navigating the U.S. immigration system. I first met the Ruiz Gutiérrez family back in 2020 during the pandemic. EdSource was working on a project about how families were dealing with distance learning. And when I met them, they immediately stood out. They're tight-knit. The mom, Armanda, is a very involved and committed parent. In their hometown of Los Banos, she volunteers for every parent committee she knows of. She has 4 kids, Elena, Ignacio, and Nathan, and a younger daughter, Priscila, who at the time was in elementary school. She would buy them textbooks every summer so they could keep up with their learning. But I soon learned that the Ruiz Gutiérrez family was fractured. Armanda's husband, José, was stuck in Mexico after having his green card application rejected. This is Education Beat, getting to the heart of California schools. I'm Zadie Stavely. This is the second to last episode of Education Beat. And to mark the occasion, we're returning to a family we've covered for many years, to bring listeners an update on their long journey to finish college. One of our very first episodes in 2021 was about the Ruiz Gutiérrez family. José Luis Ruiz Arévalos had lived in the U.S. undocumented for decades, since he was 17. After he married Armanda, who was a U.S. citizen, he applied for a green card. He thought he had all his paperwork in order. But when he traveled to Mexico for the final step in his application for permanent residency, an appointment at the U.S. consulate in Ciudad Juárez, he ran into a problem because of a change made by President Donald Trump to the so-called public charge policy. That policy had long allowed consular officers to deny green cards to immigrants who were likely to become completely dependent on cash aid from the government. Trump had expanded the policy to allow officers to consider whether immigrants or their U.S.-born children had used other benefits, like health insurance or food stamps. José had never used public benefits, but his U.S.-born kids had. His youngest daughter, Priscila, was born prematurely and has disabilities, so she gets supplemental security income. All the kids had gotten food stamps and Medi-Cal. The officers said this now made José ineligible for a green card. And just like that, he was stuck in Mexico with no way to return to his family. To make up for the family's lost income, Elena, the oldest daughter, put her dreams on pause. The first in her family to go to college, she left UC Merced after her freshman year and began working a variety of jobs at a tomato packing plant, a Big 5 sporting goods, and with the U.S. Census Bureau. She was also taking community college classes and joined the Army Reserve. She hoped that with her support, her younger siblings could follow their college dreams, even if she couldn't.
Well, because I'm the oldest. I'm the forefront. So I don't want them to get pressured too. I'd rather just take off some of the pressure so when they go to school, they don't have to worry about it.
Elena's younger brothers, Nathan and Ignacio, graduated from high school without their dad to cheer them on. Ignacio says it was hard.
There's things where I was like, oh, dang, I wish I had a father to help me with this. Because, boy stuff, I never, had to learn how to shave on my own, haircuts, things like that. Tying a tie, I still can't tie a tie, I'll be honest. Things that usually the dad teach, I didn't have a chance because, José wasn't here.
Nathan got a job at the tomato packing plant and started taking classes at community college alongside Elena. Ignacio, who had excelled in high school and had a 4.6 GPA, started college at UC Merced right out of high school in 2022. The spring of his freshman year, the family got the news they were hoping for. José was finally able to get a green card after President Biden rolled back the changes to the public charge policy imposed by Trump. The family met his bus as it pulled up outside a market in Los Banos.
Once I saw him in the bus, I was like, wow, this is real. Like, everything I hoped that would happen, like, it happened.
Priscila pipes in.
It was unbelievable.
José's now been home for 3.5 years. He started working again, and he's made a bunch of repairs on the family's trailer home. For his family, his return stabilized them, emotionally and financially. Here's Ignacio, now 22.
Financially, that was probably the biggest worry for all of us, right? Because college is expensive. Luckily, we have FAFSA and scholarships, but the biggest worry for most of us was like, how are we going to pay for this, right? And also, aside from that, sometimes family needs help. And if we're in college, you can't really help because you kind of have to be at school. So that was probably where José being back at home makes it a little easier because now you don't have to worry so much about family and keeping things in order at home.
Having José home just took the pressure off, says Elena, the oldest, who's now 26. When he was gone, she felt like she was the third parent, especially to Priscila, the youngest, who she calls baby.
Sometimes, like, my mom would rely on me and to help baby and, like, pick her up. Sometimes I would take off, like, ask permission if I could, like, miss class to do, like, the IEP for baby. But now I'm more like, you know, it's like, okay, like, there's 2 parents in the household. Like, I can try to focus on myself, my self-care, and, like, trying to, like, you know, find my career.
The fall after José returned, Nathan transferred to UC Merced to join Ignacio. The following year, with Ignacio's encouragement, Elena decided to return to UC Merced as well. They lived in separate dorms, but they found time to eat together or work out together. Both Nathan and Elena took up dance, Nathan K-pop and Elena baile folclórico. They attended each other's performances. Ignacio became vice president of the chess club. With her freshman year credits and her community college credits, Elena realized she only needed 1 more year of school. Meanwhile, Ignacio had managed to finish enough credits to graduate in 3 years. That's how all 3 of them came to walk together across the stage. It was a kind of magical moment for the family. But Ignacio has a more pragmatic take.
It's a lot easier, right? Because we're all coming in together. We're all organized together because we're siblings. And then we can all just get one solid video instead of like, oh, here's this one kid. And here's the second one for our mom, right? And then there's the third, all sporadic. It's better to just, you know, be together.
Watching and cheering in the front row were their parents, Armanda and José, and their little sister, Priscila.
I was happy that they graduated. Muy orgullosa de que a uno le tocó 3 años, a otras 7.
I'm very proud, Armanda says. One took 3 years, one took 5, and one took 7 years to graduate. But no matter the time it took, she says, they achieved what you can't achieve in Mexico because of lack of resources.
Muy feliz y muy orgulloso de que lograron sus sueños, mis hijos.
José says, I'm very happy, very proud that my children achieved their dreams, and that my younger daughter also wants to achieve that dream and follow her siblings' example. That's all I wanted, he says, for us all to be together and that each one could achieve their dreams. The 3 siblings aligned in more than just timing. All of them majored in psychology. And since graduation, they're all working with kids. Elena is working as an assistant aide with children with disabilities through the Merced County Office of Education. She's also still in the Army, and she may soon become a sergeant. Ignacio is a tutor at his local high school. Both he and Elena are considering going back to school to become high school counselors. Nathan, now 24, is a behavior technician, working with children with autism and other disabilities. He says he likes working with kids.
They're at a vulnerable age, and their behavior, it's building new habits, like remodeling it to something healthy, safe.
The youngest, Priscila, has had a lot of milestones too. She graduated from junior high and is now a junior in high school, taking marine biology and AP psychology. She had a quinceañera party when she turned 15, and she's learning how to cook. She even took over pancake duty after deciding that Elena was burning them too often. The three graduates, Elena, Ignacio, and Nathan, emphasize that they're resilient, that they survived the separation with their dad, and despite everything, finished their journeys through college. Elena jokes that she learned something from the separation that serves her well with her boyfriend, who lives in Pennsylvania.
We're doing long distance, so at least I got practice with José, right?
But they still remember how hard it was to have their dad gone. Ignacio has this advice for others who find themselves in a similar situation now, separated from a parent because of immigration policies.
I think the number one thing to consider, right, if you're in situations like that, is to stay resilient. Things might look terrible at the moment, but you have to focus on what's in front of you and not dwell on things too long, because when you just keep dwelling on it, it's just going to become a hindrance for your future. And even then, just because your father or mother or whatever family member is in Mexico, right? The great thing about technology today is they're only a phone call away, FaceTime. I mean, there's even Zoom. So just truthfully to stay as resilient as possible, because you never know. One day he could be back, or she, or them, anyone, right?
And here's what Nathan says.
I think in moments of despair, a good thing to do is to keep in touch with any family members or any community that you have. Something that could help is writing a journal. Like, oh, dear blank, whoever you're missing, and write them letters about what you're doing on like a daily basis maybe, or weekly, or anytime you think about them, you can write to them and hope that things are going to get better, because they might get better if you start looking on the bright side and keep close with your community, whoever supports you.
The kids aren't the only ones who graduated. Soon after José returned, his wife Armanda signed him up for a GED class.
Mi esposa fue la que estuvo allí y le hace, ya te apunté.
My wife said, I already signed you up, he says. I thought I wasn't going to be able to do it, but I did. José got his GED in 2024. He also started taking classes to prepare to apply to become a U.S. citizen. He's been eligible to apply since October, 3 years after getting his green card. But he's not sure about applying under the current administration.
De hecho, ya estaba listo.
I was ready, he says, but with the new laws, I got scared. I said to myself, I could lose everything I've won.
Lo puedo perder, mejor me espero.
Just last month, the Trump administration reversed Biden's rollback of the public charge policy changes. Beginning September 18th, USCIS officials can again consider multiple public benefits used by immigrants applying for green cards, including housing assistance, food stamps, and financial aid for college. A USCIS spokesperson said in a press release that the Trump administration is, quote, protecting American taxpayers from subsidizing aliens who may become dependent on public benefits. The new policy doesn't apply to benefits used before September, and it doesn't apply to green card holders who are applying for naturalization. But still, when José watches the news and sees coverage of the Trump administration's detentions, he feels all the old fears return.
Pongo a pensar que todo lo que van a pasar.
I think about everything they're going to have to go through to reestablish themselves, and it makes me afraid. I still feel like I could be detained, he says.
Yo me siento todavía que también me pueden agarrar.
But Armanda's preparing for whenever José does feel ready to apply for his citizenship. She's keeping track of all the things he's done and how he's shown that he's an upstanding member of his community.
Estamos siendo voluntarios en la policía, en la escuela y en la ciudad.
They now volunteer with a police department, she says, in addition to advocating for English learners and special education in the school district.
El futuro es prepararnos para cuando José se haga ciudadano.
The future, she says, is preparing for when José becomes a citizen and continuing to advocate for Priscila as she finishes high school. We have to be vigilant about our rights, she says. That's why I join groups, to know what our rights are and to make sure that my children and my family's rights aren't trampled on. That's the work of a mother.
Y pues así es el trabajo de una ama de casa.
Thank you for listening to this week's episode of Education Beat, getting to the heart of California schools, a production of EdSource. You can find a link to my stories about the Ruiz Gutiérrez family in our podcast notes and at edsource.org. Our producer is Kobe McDonald. Special thanks to our guests, the Ruiz Gutiérrez family, Armanda, José, Elena, Nathan, Ignacio, and Priscila. Thanks also to editor-at-large John Fensterwald. Our theme music is from Blue Dot Sessions. This episode was brought to you by Sobrato Philanthropies. I am Zadie Stavely. Join us next week for the final episode of Education Beat.